All right, let's dive right into this explainer. We're talking about something literally all of us do, usually without a second thought, taking public transit. It's just part of the daily grind, right? But there is this very specific, deeply unsettling vulnerability that comes with being trapped in a moving vehicle or standing all alone in a deserted station late at night. Today, we're unpacking 3 documented cases that totally shatter that illusion of safety we carry around during our commutes. We're going to really break down the psychological terror of isolated transit. There is a line from the source material that absolutely hits the nail on the head. It says, the most dangerous part of your commute isn't the traffic, it's the people sitting right next to you. I mean, think about the physical reality of a bus or a train. These are confined, moving metal boxes that force us into inescapable proximity with total strangers. The second those doors slide shut, we literally surrender our mobility and our control. As you'll see from the accounts we're looking at today, the real nightmare isn't a derailed train, it's the sudden, creeping realization that you are locked in that box with a completely unknown variable. Let's start with Case 1, The Observer, the Midnight Subway. This first case perfectly captures that sheer psychological dread of being isolated. The source details an account from a young commuter, fresh out of college, working late. It's just a boring, quiet Tuesday night. The subway car is practically empty, and they're just trying to vibe to some music and head home. But way down at the other end of the car sits one other person, a really clean-cut guy in a suit. He looked like he was heading into a boardroom, not riding a desolate midnight train. That visual mismatch, that's your first massive red flag. It triggers that primal prickle on the back of the neck. You know, that undeniable feeling that you are being watched. Now here is where the tension just cranks up. And it's not through violence, but through terrifying patience. The timeline is wild. Point 1, the train hits a sharp curve in the dark tunnels. Point 2, the power drops out. The lights flicker and the car goes dark for just a second. Point 3, the lights come back on and the man is closer. Inexplicably a few seats closer. And this sequence just keeps repeating. Every single time the lights flicker and the commuter's vision is obscured, the physical distance between them and this total stranger shrinks. The panic peaks when the train finally pulls into their stop. Pure survival instinct kicks in, and the narrator literally bolts for the doors. But right as they're sliding shut, they glance back into the car. And no way. The man isn't just closer anymore. He is standing exactly in the spot the narrator had been sitting in just seconds before. And in his hand, he was holding a small object he picked up off the floor, something the narrator had dropped. So what does this all mean? Was this just some eccentric guy acting weird on a late-night train? Or was it an actual malicious threat? As the source points out, it begs a really terrifying question. Was he just a random weirdo? Or, and this is a recurring theme we'll see, was he someone who had been tracking their late-night routine for weeks? Moving right along to Case 2, The Captor, the Rogue Bus Detour. Okay, so we're shifting gears from creeping psychological dread straight into immediate physical danger. This case is about the absolute terror of a vehicle operator, the person you trust with your life, going completely rogue. The narrator is taking a late-night bus home after a brutal double shift. The source describes the atmosphere outside as gloomy and overcast, feeling almost like a heavy school lockdown. Everything seems totally fine until, out of nowhere, the bus takes an unannounced detour. It completely abandons the route and heads straight into a dark, empty industrial district. That predictable, safe routine instantly shattered. Just think about the behavioral contrast for a second. Normally, a driver sticks to the route, and if there is a detour, they'll answer your questions. But when this narrator walks up to the front to ask what's going on, they meet the captor. The driver is completely unresponsive. He's just staring straight ahead, totally emotionless. The source specifically highlights how deafening the silence in that bus was. The only sound was the deliberate, heavy breathing of the driver. It's this deeply unnatural, hostile energy that instantly tells you, you are in danger. Let's walk through the play-by-play of how they actually got out of this. Step 1, the driver ignores every question, stripping away any chance of just talking it out. Step 2, full panic mode. The narrator yanks the stop requested cord over and over, but it's totally dead. No light, no bell. The bus's safety mechanisms were disabled or broken. Step 3, realizing they are basically a hostage, they make a massive move. As the bus slows down for a red light in this sketchy industrial zone, the narrator forces the back emergency lever open and literally jumps out into the night. And honestly, the aftermath is the creepiest part of the whole shebang. The narrator is sprinting frantically toward a lit storefront, just praying for safety.
They look back, and the bus is pulled over. The driver doesn't chase them. He just steps out of the bus and stands in the shadows, silently watching them run away. It's the ultimate power play. Sure, they escaped, but that driver standing in the dark, that leaves a psychological scar for sure.
All right, case 3, the Nower, the deserted 2 a.m. platform.
This one drops us straight into the uncanny valley. It's not just about being physically trapped. It's about the visceral terror of a stranger knowing things about you that they absolutely shouldn't. It's 2 a.m. at a totally deserted train station. The narrator's waiting for the last train. Nearby on a bench sits a woman the source describes as mousy, quiet, seemingly harmless. But then the unsettling details start. She's humming this low, dark, instrumental tune. And the comparison the source makes is wild. The humming sounded exactly like a glitching Alexa. Mechanical, broken, just wrong.
So as the train finally approaches, the whole situation snaps. The woman stands up, walks right over to the narrator, totally obliterates their personal space, and presses her face uncomfortably close. And then in this inexplicably loud whisper that echoes in the empty station, she says a name. But it is not the narrator's name. It's their younger brother's name. I mean, think about that. There's absolutely no logical reason a random glitching stranger at 2 a.m. should know an intimate family detail like that.
The train doors open, and the narrator dives inside, heart racing at 100 beats a minute easy. As the train pulls away from the station, they look back through the glass. The woman is standing dead still on the platform, doing this slow, unnatural, rhythmic goodbye wave. It's so haunting. It's proof that a threat doesn't even need to physically attack you. Sometimes just completely violating your sense of reality is more than enough.
Let's break down the lessons in situational awareness. Pulling all these nightmares together, the biggest takeaway here is the absolute necessity of situational awareness. It's not just about casually glancing around. It's about truly recognizing threats in your environment. And maybe even more crucially, it's about understanding how vulnerable we become because of our own predictable routines and the inherent isolation of modern commuting. These stories prove that the bubble of safety we wrap ourselves in is incredibly fragile.
To sum up exactly why these encounters are so deeply terrifying, number 1, predictable routines can be tracked. The person sitting across from you might not just be commuting, they might be watching your schedule. Number 2, threats hide in plain sight. The scariest dangers rarely look like obvious movie monsters. They look like a clean-cut guy in a suit, a city bus driver, or a mousy woman on a bench. And number 3, confinement strips away control. Once you step inside, your agency is handed over to the environment and whoever happens to be trapped inside with you.
Well, that leaves us with a pretty heavy, provocative thought to wrap up this explainer. We all have routines, right? We all zone out, put our headphones in, and just trust the process to get us home. But looking at the stark realities we covered today, next time you're on that late train or standing alone on an empty platform, who is watching your routine? Stay alert, keep your head on a swivel, and never assume you're entirely alone.